Yo guys, Ryan here. So I'll be uploading this series along with the other series, the Expelled Deku one. And today I'll be doing what if Deku had All for One, my own version, not Blaze Hollow one. So yeah, let's begin. So before we start this video, guys, please help us out to get to 10k. We are like almost there. We are like 370 subscribers away from hitting 10k. So go down, hit that like button and subscribe button, and let's begin. We're gonna start as the third point of view. Izuku Midoriya was a child of misfortune he will describe. Izuku knew of love and happiness from the age of 1 to the age of 4, but when he reached the age of 4 and arrived at the doctor, he only knew of pain and suffering from that day forth. His parents Inko and Yage Toshinori started to forget about him. His younger sister turned on him and hated him. Izuku never understood why she did that, nor did he understand why his former best friend Katsuki Bakugo and Shoto Todoroki turned on him either. Izuku kept growing up each year with his birthdays coming and going without any fanfare from his family or former friends. Not even his mother's adoptive brother Shota Aizawa comes around to see Izuku anymore. Izuku received birthday cards from him every year still, but that's all. They don't even have to a return address to Izuku can track him down to try and get help from him either. And that has made some depressing thoughts that his uncle didn't love him either and was only sending the birthday cards for appearance sake. Izuku had nothing to disprove his theory, so that is how he thought of his uncle. The years passed and Izuku had turned 8 and he couldn't take it anymore. He was so depressed from all of the ill treatment that had fallen so low that Izuku had begun cutting himself, which only made things worse. Even though Izuku believed it gave him a sense of control over himself and his pain. It was the only coping method Izuku knew of since his parents never listened to him and refused to get him professional help. The one time that he asked to go to see a therapist, Izuku remembered that day since it was only a few months ago. Izuku had walked into the living room and had asked his mother and father if he could see a therapist, and they looked at him and said he was fine and that he didn't need one and that he was over exaggerating his issues. That was when Izuku started to hate his family. He couldn't believe that they told him that he was over exaggerating his issue and that he was fine, and it only got worse at school when Izumi, who had overheard his request to his parent, told everyone that he wanted to see someone for his so-called issues. Everyone made fun of him and said that a therapist wouldn't fix his quirklessness. It was at the point Izuku started to cut since he wanted some form of control over his life. However, half a year passed and couldn't no longer take it. Izuku was done with his so-called family, and when he overheard a conversation between his family, they were talking about starting Izumi training for her inheriting Toshinori quirk. Surprise, surprise, Toshinori Yage is actually All Might, the number one hero. Who would have thought that the number one hero would neglect their child Inko Yage, also the number 6 hero Green Tornado as well. What was shocking was the inheriting a quirk part. All Might told Izumi all about his quirk called One for All and that it was a quirk. He received it from his master, who also received it, and so forth. He had deemed Izumi worthy of inheriting the quirk, even though she had done so many injustices and twisted things like a bully and assault to her sibling for just being quirkless. Now, speaking about being quirkless, Izuku had realized what Izumi inheriting One for All meant. It meant that All Might aka Toshinori Yagi was quirkless by birth. It meant that he knew what Izuku was like going through. It meant that he had neglected his child for the same thing that had broken Izuku for final time. As such, Izuku decided to run away. He gathered all of his belongings and his notebook, and when everyone had gone to sleep, he slipped out of his window and ran. What he didn't know though was the house was being watched that night by someone, and his entire life was about to change and take wild ride. Izuku was running down the street and the figure was moving across the rooftops following him. Izuku just ran for roughly a half an hour until he reached the beach. It was dead of the night and a bit cold, but Izuku had finally arrived at his destination. He had searched this place up before, and Izuku was planning to hide out on the beach even though it wasn't the best place. He will use it to train and then go hunt for food during the day. However, as Izuku started to move some things around and prepare himself for the night, he heard a sound coming from behind him, and he grabbed a metal pole near him and swung it with all of his strength his feeble body had. However, the pole was caught, and in front of Izuku stood the tall man with white hair. Izuku felt as if he should know the man, but he couldn't remember even meeting him here. Izuku snapped out of his thoughts when a man spoke, and Izuku backed up as he dropped the pipe and was on guard and expecting to be beaten as everyone else does to him. "Young man, why are you outside at this hour, and why does it look like you are trying to sleep here?" the man asked, and Izuku looked up at him confused on why he hasn't beaten him. The man noticed Izuku's confusion and asked him about it. "Why are you looking confused? Did you expect me to do something or ask something else?" he asked. Izuku nodded his head and said, "I'm quirkless. Why aren't you hurting me as everyone else does? Even my parents neglected me, so why aren't you harming me since I'm worthless?" Izuku asked as he glanced at the man between his arms, and the man's eyes widened. "What?" he stated in shock, and Izuku flinched back, expecting to be hit, but he soon found himself pulled into a warm hug. Izuku didn't know why he felt safe with his man. He felt as if he could trust the man more than his family. So he decided to ask the man, "Mister, why do I feel safe with you? Safer than I do with my family, as if I know you?" Izuku asked, and the man chuckled. "Well, we have met before, but you wouldn't remember me." "No, you wouldn't, and I'm sorry for that, my son," the man said, and Izuku's eyes widened and he pulled back trying to figure out what the man just said. "You heard me right, Izuku Yagi. No, Izuku Midoriya. You are my son, and I'm sorry I haven't been here for you. I didn't return when Inko got together with Toshinori Yagi, since I thought she and you would be better off, but it seemed I was wrong. So wrong," the man said, and Izuku asked for his name and told him, "Son, my name is Hisashi Midoriya." Hisashi stated, and Izuku nodded his head. Izuku then asked what he was going to say before he corrected Toshinori's name, and Hisashi said it was nothing. "I am assuming you were about to say All Might," Izuku said, and Hisashi eyes widened and confirmed, "I know. I heard them talk about their hero work with Izumi and his quirk. If you know what I mean, though, I don't know if you do," Izuku said, and Hisashi chuckled. "I do, son. I don't know far more than you know. How about I explain how or who I am once we get out of the cult, since I need to explain why I wasn't around and how I know All Might. So let's get you to my hotel room," Hisashi said as he reached his hand and pulled Izuku into his shoulders. "Whoa, what are you doing?" Izuku asked, confused on why was on his father's shoulders. Hisashi raised an eyebrow and said, "I'm giving you a piggyback ride. I'm assuming All Might has never done it for you, huh? I'll make sure you enjoy the life that you should have, son," Hisashi said as he started to walk away from the beach. After grabbing Izuku's bags, Izuku asked why he was staying in the hotel, and Hisashi told him why. "I actually live in America right now. I only came back to look at Inko and you from afar. I do it once a year on your birthday. And by the way, happy early birthday, since it's tomorrow in few hours," Hisashi said as Izuku remembered that it indeed was tomorrow and he would be 9 now. He thanked his new or rather old father and they soon arrived at the hotel room. They went up to his room and Izuku liked the view from the room. Then Izuku noticed that they were in Tokyo. Wait, when did we get in Tokyo? Izuku said or asked, confused since they did not walk that long and Hisashi left a bit. You fell asleep for a short period and I teleported at that moment to Tokyo. You just didn't notice since you are so tired. How about I explain my past and everything about me in early morning and you can decide if you want to stay with me or not because of my past. My past has some issues that you will need to know about. If you don't want to stay with me, I will ensure you are set up with someone else and will have a stable life. No matter what, I will ensure your life to be better life. So let's sleep for a night, okay? Hisashi asked and Izuku nodded his head since he was sleepy. Well, there goes a stranger danger and all since I have zero proof except my gut telling me you are my father. Don't do the deed. If you know what I mean, guys. RIPE. Izuku said and like between brackets. So yeah. Don't do the deed to me in my sleep now, Izuku said as he finished changing his clothes and slipped in like under the covers. Hisashi's eyes widened at his son's statement and were like shocked at his son's lack of danger sense. We will so talk about that statement in the morning, Hisashi grumbled as he opened his laptop and wrote some emails to his lawyers in America to get working on paperwork for Izuku. Hisashi was also glad that Inko never legally declared him dead since that left a huge ass loophole for Hisashi to exploit. Inko never legally divorced Hisashi and the marriage had happened in America due to him taking her there for it. He had ultra motives for doing that, like if he ever wanted to take Inko and just leave everything behind, which he had a plan to do when All Might had attacked him that day. As such, the divorce has to happen in America and he also has American citizenship. This also meant Izuku had American citizenship as well, but the Japanese government didn't know about Hisashi and Inko being married since it happened shortly before like Izuku's birth and they hadn't had time to transfer the document to Japan for them to like recognize. As such, Inko could legally marry in Japan, but this meant she voided the marriage in America and would get full custody of Izuku in the America court system due to her adultery that she committed, and Izuku also being an American citizen with Japanese citizenship. Thank God I never got her American citizenship or else this will be harder to do, Hisashi thought as he requested his lawyers to prepare everything to get to the court to void his marriage and grant full custody of Izuku to Hisashi. Unknown to everyone, Hisashi was actually a very successful businessman and had an empire back in America. It was called the Midoriya Enterprises and was the number one business. Everyone wanted a piece of the company and many have tried to marry him, but he never remarried since he didn't want to. Everything was actually willed to Izuku already, but now it will be easier for Izuku to take control of everything since he will be involved in it. So guys, this will be like a teaser for part 1 or for the next part 2. If you want more of this series, so as like goal, let's get around like 200 or 300 likes or almost to 300 likes and start posting this series along with the expelled deku 1. So as I always say, stay home, stay safe, wash your hands and spend the time with the most precious people you have. Also don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to get help us out with the YouTube algorithm to spread out my videos and get to 10k. And with that, see you next video. Peace out. Bye bye.